Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to my first Honkai Star Rail song reaction in a long time. I can't even remember the last time I did a Honkai Star Rail song, but this is one that commenter Nerian has been bothering me about in the comments for probably close to a month now, so I figured I should get to it eventually, and I've just been slowly cranking through my usual list and cycle before I was like, you know what? Today is the day. So without further ado, this is apparently a battle theme and it is called Against the Day. Let's go. Ooh, oh, okay, we're starting off with some like smooth club jazz. Oh, all right. Ooh, the walking bass line. Do, 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 do. Yeah. Keeping the time with the right foot on the hi-hat pedal, not actually hitting the hi-hat pedal. Just a chick. A little free-forming, but now we're starting to get some more structure in here. Some heavy accents. Dude, those toms are so fat. Wow. That's a big drum kit. Was that a 12, a 14, and an 18? Those are huge toms. Jeez. It's been a long time since I've heard this genre, and especially this freeform of like a jazz track. It's kind of reminded me of Skullgirls a little bit, actually. Ooh, it's done there. Man, I want more of it. All right, not something I expected, like I said a few times. This is a track that is definitely playing to my roots as a drummer. I was definitely more of a jazz drummer when I started. I did play rock and such in my first days playing, but I got a lot of my rudiments grounded in jazz, so I definitely feel this like more swing club jazz flavor a lot, and I tend to sneak it into how I play a lot of the time. Even though I've definitely evolved more into like a metal rock style drummer, I still have parts of this flavor that just enters every time I play, no matter what I do. And it really brings me back to those times to hear a song like this. That's very cool, calm and collected, lots of big drums. Like I said, I think it might have been like a 12, a 14, and an 18 for the tom sizes, each shell size. Those were pretty huge. I guess it could have just been a more standard. I think that was too big to be a 10-inch tom, especially that first tom was just too beefy to be a 10-inch. So I'm assuming could have been a 13 even. But huge, 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 huge. It also sounded pretty slappy, which makes me think that the resonating heads were not on. For those who might see my kit back here, these bottom heads are what we call resonating heads, and the top heads are batter heads. So if you didn't know that, now you know. And some old vintage style of playing used to not have bottom drum heads on at all. It created a very flat, dead sound that would resonate in larger rooms, or like big wooden stages and clubs would definitely play that sound out better because it had somewhere to reflect off of almost immediately and then kind of send it out into the crowd. Whereas nowadays that's a little less favorable because of recording techniques and the varying amount of venue styles and locations people play at. Resonating heads do play quite a big part in how the overall drum sounds. It resonates more. There's a lot more ring to it. You hear the sound for longer. And in this one, while you can definitely hear it, you can also hear it kind of deadening really quick. It just kind of chokes itself out, which is pretty characteristic of not having reso heads on, so it's very likely. I also mentioned the hi-hat chick. kick, which again is basically just keeping time with your right foot, pressing down the pedal on the hi-hat, which is that symbol right there. For, again, those who don't know drum anatomy, now you do. That is the hi-hat, and you can of course control it by using your foot, and you just open and close it. And jazz drummers will use that to keep time while they're playing elsewhere. It kind of keeps everybody in the band locked in, especially again in older days where there weren't click tracks being played through your headphones. You would just have some drummer doing that with their foot, or just keeping the bass pace, and that's what was being done here. It definitely is a characteristic of this smooth jazz flair that just isn't used too much anymore. Some drummers do use it. It really depends on who you are, but it's definitely prevalent in those styles of jazz and club music. So it's one of those little characteristic things where if that wasn't there, the song would have sounded so much more dead and lifeless. You wouldn't have been able to keep the rhythm nearly as well. And it's something like that that keeps stuff like freeform jazz doable, because there is a constant drive, a constant replacement for that beat in your head, and you're able to catch back up if you get a little too fast or a little too slow, depending on what you're doing or what you're playing around it. So it's just a lot of like band inner workings, you know, it's things that you have to do as a player and as a performer in order to keep everybody locked in, and not having click tracks back in the day, that's how you would do it. But this has got to be one of the chillest battle themes I've ever heard. It was very laid back. I didn't feel really much urgency that you would usually expect out of a modern battle theme, which I kind of like. The fact that in this song they're not really pushing that high intensity. They had aspects of the song that would kind of raise that intensity, like changing up the beat every once in a while. They would have stuff like the high trumpet just muted, really playing wailing high notes, stuff like that that would keep your brain active so you're not quite forgetting where you are in the moment. And it still supports the energy of the overall vibe going on, having those more aggressive tones. It plays through, and it does kind of attract the mind back to center. You don't have to really think too much, but in my case, I would be vibing with the song too much. I think I would forget that I'm doing any sort of battle, even if it's on screen in front of me. I'd just be like, hey. But yeah, this song, I didn't expect to be getting into it. With it only being like 2 minutes long, that can be kind of hard to like really feel it. I do a lot of Blue Archive stuff as well, and all of those tracks are pretty short, and I tend to get into those, but they're much higher energy, more often. They pretty much go straight into the meat of the song, and this one was a lot more subdued, so I was kind of caught off guard by that, but I'm also kind of appreciative of that because it reminds me of that nostalgia of being in jazz band and just enjoying the vibe of everybody kind of working off each other. It was really fun, so it's playing to my nostalgia a little bit. I don't know if it was Nerian's intent trying to make me nostalgic by like knowing about my jazz background. Maybe could have just been a coincidence, but it definitely did that. And this would be the type of song I would love to just kind of vibe on and play around on and just like really explore the kit. It's that type of song where there's a lot of room to just play around and explore that open air, and I love that about these sorts of tracks. It is one of the most freeing things as a percussionist, and really as any jazz musician, to just be allowed that freedom to explore the space in a song and do really whatever you want to, because there's nothing really stopping you. So I just really resonate with these songs, and they remind me of good times in my past. But I think that's about it. So thank you all so very much for watching. Thank you, Nerian, again for requesting this one. Did not expect the jazz vibe, but I love it. And if anyone else has any other songs they want me to get to, I can do Star Rail stuff. I've just been avoiding a lot of Honkai stuff because I've been doing a lot of the animation analysis stuff for Honkai 3rd, so I've just been focusing on those and not touching the music so much. So if you have any you want me to do a video on, by all means leave them down in the comments below, and I'll do my best to get to them when I can. And otherwise, if you like this video and you want to see more of me and follow me and support me and all that, you know how to do all that, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye!